Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all here. Got a big evening ahead of us here. Very exciting to unveil our season coming up. Very colorful brochure, wouldn't you say? That feels very springy. All right. So you should just know that there's a lot of work that goes into putting together a season. As a music director, I start with a lot of different, different ideas, different ways I have to look at the season. One of the first things I have to ask myself is, what has the orchestra not played in a long time? What are the standard repertoire have we not played? What do the musicians need to play in order to build the orchestra? What does the audience want to hear? I think a lot of people assume that a season gets put together and it's all just the stuff that I want to play. Not so. I do a lot of different music, and for a variety of reasons. Each program is carefully selected, particularly during these trying economic times. We have to make sure that the instrumentation for each concert is consistent. So, for instance, this evening we have a string orchestra mostly on our program. So I'm not going to program a piece of Mahler to go with that, because I would be wasting my money. Because I'd have, if you're going to have 90 musicians on the stage versus, 40 musicians on the stage, those kinds of balancing things also come in to play. Soloists come into play. Sometimes we make commitments, we have relationships with people, several of which you'll hear next season. People who've been here before, and we've talked about doing things together again, and so those sorts of things get cycled through. New artists that we want to try. Always our own musicians from our own orchestra, like this evening's concert. We love to feature them as soloists too. So it's a very complex thing. And then there are the dates. The dates that the pavilion is available, the dates that the soloists are available, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of juggling that goes on in the office over the course of several months to make it happen. So when we finally get to this stage, those of us on this side heave a sigh of relief that we've had it all come together, and to have a really nice, balanced season to present to you. And that's pretty much key for me, is balance. It's the old adage, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, is very much about, creating a symphony season. How much really familiar stuff you do, how much stuff off the beaten path, how much new stuff you do. It's all in the balance for us. So if you look at your brochure, the first thing you'll see is our classical season for next year. We have, this is our 90th anniversary next year. So, yeah. So we're going to start off with a party, with a bang. And guess who's also turning 90 next year? George McGovern, right? So it was interesting. We came up with this idea of inviting him to narrate Copland's Lincoln Portrait. And so he came backstage after our Mahler 7 concert because he was thrilled and just wanted to talk about it. And I said, well, I got something I want to run past you. How would you like to narrate Lincoln Portrait? And he paused and he said, well, I kind of wrote the book on the guy. Because, he did write a book on Lincoln. So we're really happy to have him come be a part of that. So decided to take an all-American tack on that first program. You may remember, probably 3 seasons ago, we had an Italian pianist named Emanuele Arciuli that played with us. He played 2 pieces by Iowa native Michael Dougherty, which were fun and jazzy and a lot of humor. Emanuele is a very, very interesting guy. He lives in Italy, teaches in Italy, just won Italy's top prize for any soloists. Many pianists before him have won it, like Michelangelo. There's just a whole lot of soloists that have been in the same roster. So it's really quite prestigious. But What people over there may not realize is that he's actually an expert on American piano music. It's his passion. He loves it. He just published a 500-page book on American piano music in Italian. And it's going to be translated into English because there's nothing that we have on this side of the Atlantic that matches what the research that he's done. Go figure. Another thing that he loves, Native American music. I was just conducting in Italy in May. I went and visited his apartment. Every piece of art on his walls is Native American art. Bought at Santa Fe, you know, wherever. And he's actually, just this last week, has been down in Santa Fe giving a recital. So anyway, he plays a lot of American music, and I heard him do the Barber Concerto last season. Just a stunning performance. So I said, you know, why don't we do Barber? That's great. Barber won the Pulitzer Prize for this piece of music 50 years plus ago. And so he agreed. So we got Copland, we got Barber. We're going to open with an overture of Barber. And then, well, I figured some Bernstein would probably go well on a program like this. And, you know, it was really time to get beyond the Bernstein that we always play. I mean, this orchestra's probably played the West Side Story symphonic dances, you know, at least a half a dozen times, you know, within fairly recent memory. It's a Candide overture. I mean, these are things that always get played of Bernstein. So the symphonic suite from On the Waterfront, which starred Marlon Brando, you may have seen that movie. It's stunning music, just great music. I had the chance to do it at the New York Philharmonic probably 5 years ago or so, and just fell in love with the piece. So that will round out that program. It should be a great season opener. The second program you have in November is all 6 Brandenburg concertos on one concert, all Bach evening. I will not be conducting that program. I have invited my good friend Kent Tritle to come conduct. If you've been subscribing with us for a while, you may remember, I think it was my second season, about 6 years ago, we did the Charpentier Te Deum with a visiting choir from St. Ignatius Loyola in New York. Kent was the organist and choir master there, and it was his choir that came. They also sang a Bach motet on that program, which Kent conducted, for any of those of you who might remember. Kent is now the music director at St. John the Divine in New York. He just happens to also hail from Spirit Lake, Iowa, originally. He also happened to be my roommate when I first moved to New York City. So I've known Kent for a long time, but Kent is an organist by trade, and is a Bach expert through and through. So I thought, what a wonderful thing to be able to have this person come work with our musicians on Bach. I think that they're just going to love that opportunity. So that's that evening. And then continuing in a Baroque vein, we had a unique opportunity this season in that we had an extra week before Christmas. You know, usually we have, you know, that first week of December is the Augustana Vespers, and the next week is our holiday pops, and the next week is Christmas at the cathedral. It's packed, you know, what do you do? Well, we actually have an extra week this year, calendar-wise. And I've been looking for an opportunity to institute an annual Messiah, because we don't have a professional annual Messiah in our community, and a community the size of Sioux Falls should have one, by golly. So we're going to take this opportunity. It will be on your subscription series next year, and then hopefully our plan is that after that it will move off of the subscription series but still be an annual event, and it will take place at First Lutheran Church. So I'm excited to get that up and running. Hopefully that will quickly become a tradition for people in Sioux Falls. Finding a place to put it after this year without that extra week in between Christmas could be a challenge. But then in January, we're welcoming back Stephen Bryant. Stephen sang, he's a baritone, sang with us on Messiah last season, and is coming back to sing Creation with us in May. But this is a very unique thing that he's doing. It's a world premiere of a piece that is going to be an addition to our Lakota music project. So it's a piece for baritone and orchestra written by a Native American composer named Jared Tate. Jared lives in Oklahoma. I think he's probably the finest Native American composer living today. It's going to be a song cycle for baritone and orchestra in Lakota. And it'll be a 5-movement work, each movement honoring a different Lakota warrior. So we're going to do a full orchestra version of that piece, and then he's also making a chamber orchestra version of it that will become another part of our touring Lakota music project. I'm very excited about that. On that program also is Rachmaninoff's Third Symphony. So it's should be a lovely evening. We follow that with inviting Alessio Bax back. Alessio's played with us many times. Really fine young pianist playing Tchaikovsky. We'll do Shostakovich's Ninth Symphony at the beginning of that program, and end the program with the Tchaikovsky. So again, another wonderful opportunity. We try to do a different major choral work every year. This year, obviously, Haydn Creation. Next year, Mozart Requiem. Really excited to be able to do that, and also on that same program to be able to feature Christian Zamora and Tyler C. Playing the Mozart Sinfonia Concertante. On that, so 2 of our own musicians soloing with the orchestra before we sing the Mozart. We had a donor that approached us a few months ago that wanted to make a splash. It's an anonymous donor, and had ideas about repertoire that he would love to give money in order for us to play. And Dawn Upshaw was the soprano that he had in mind to sing it. He actually wanted a piece that she no longer sings. It's the Goretzky Third Symphony. But so we went to Dawn and we came back and forth and gave a lot of ideas to this donor. And he went to YouTube and spent a lot of time with YouTube with Dawn and found some other pieces of hers that are in her repertoire that he wanted to have her come sing with us. So I'm very happy about this. The song cycle by Osvaldo Golioff. So this is, that may be a new name to you. He's been a resident composer with the Chicago Symphony for the past few years. He's a hot ticket. Now, he's originally from Argentina, very Latin, sort of the heir to Piazzolla, tango-ish, a lot of dancing kind of music. Dawn Upshaw is also one of the artistic partners with the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra. So she does a lot of inventive programming with them and works with Osvaldo up there quite a bit. So this should be a really good synergy there, and she'll bring some of that to us and share that with us. And then we'll end the season with Mendelssohn's Italian Symphony, which is a ray of sunshine. Really gorgeous music. Pop series is kind of upgraded next year. We've got Three Dog Night coming. The real guys, not a cover band. I hope they're still alive by the time they get here. You know what? I think the first album I ever bought was Three Dog Nights live at the Forum. I was 9 years old, so it's, and they were adults at the time. So, but no, they make the rounds. They've got an orchestra show. It should be great. The Frank Sinatra program should be just fabulous. It's we sort of keep a tab on what pop shows are really hitting across the country. Jennifer talks to her buddies at different orchestras around the country, and this particular show, this Sinatra show, is just hitting the mark everywhere this guy goes. Evidently, he's Frank Sinatra incarnate, and the arrangements are great, and it's a great evening, and it's going to be right after Valentine's Day, so hopefully a lot of gifts will be bought for people to come hear Frank back from the dead, I guess. The Genes and Classics next season, Michael Jackson. I hear this guy's stunning. Again, he's got not necessarily big shoes to fill, but at least moonwalking shoes to fill. So that should be a lot of fun, and of course our holiday pops will round out that series. We've had great success with our stained glass series this year, moving our chamber concerts into churches around the community. That will continue next year. So it's really kind of neat to get our musicians out into different sectors of the community and have these different churches sort of take ownership of a program, and their congregations take ownership of the program, and we've had a lot of success with it this year, so we'll continue it. So that's the scope of the season. We'll have some more Lakota Music Project activity. Actually, you'll have those of you who haven't seen it will have an opportunity in September to see it here in Sioux Falls. It's not on your schedule here, but you'll have an opportunity to see that. Don't remember exactly the date. I think it's the last Sunday in September. We'll be bringing it here. And then lastly, I'll just mention that we're partnering with Sounds of South Dakota, which is the vocal showcase that's been going for about 10 years or so, and presenting Mozart's Magic Flute. It's actually they're presenting it, and we're playing for them. And Samuel Ramey is coming back to sing the role of Zarastro. So that should be a wonderful thing, and that'll actually happen before any of our season begins. I think it's right in the middle of September. So that's it. I'm excited. I hope you are too. And I guess I got to go give a pre-concert talk now. So.